And one of my specialties, among several that I had, was Morse intercept. I used to be able to take 55 words a minute. The world record is 74. And there were many guys who could take that fast. But anyway, the Warren Ether told us in detail how we and the British had broken the Japanese diplomatic code in 1937. We knew everything that they were doing. So we invited him in. So we had a war, and the Depression was over. And they're going to do it again.
By the way, could you win talk with the Indians back then? And I'm not talking about breaking.
No, I couldn't do that.
And I'm not talking about breaking wind in the foxhole.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, we'll take this break. We'll come back on the other side. More information, but we'll roll your calls. 800-313-9443.
You're tuned in to the National Intel Report, the Real Talk Radio Show.
Gets me tapping my fingers. Dow Jones Industrials closed up 2781, 8,359.49 cents. Everything was up across the board. I was watching the markets this morning. They got in there and manipulated them just a little above break even or a loss. United States dollar even managed to gain 7 cents to pull it out of the 79 and some change range. Of course, gold, we watched that dip down. They've been trying to sit on that, but it's back up 925.20. And silver is at the asking price on that's $12.91 an ounce. Amazing market manipulation. I want to get into, Bob, your page 4 of your latest newsletter, and I'm going to go over that in detail. There's a lot of good information on that, but first, let's take some calls here from Canada. First up, Richard in Canada. Hello, Richard.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
I had to call you to debunk 3 of the myths that you brought up right at the beginning of the program. Myth number 1, they have not taken away our guns in Canada. I own several assault rifles, several hunting rifles, several handguns, and several shotguns.
These are terrorists.
Registered? Sure, they have to be registered. But so what? In fact, the old registration process for the guns that were not registered, that has been so unsuccessful they're trying to scrap it. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, Robbie, how many thousand ounces of Silver Eagles do you want? I'm a dealer, and there is absolutely no shortage of Silver Eagles. If you want a pallet of them,
wait, back up.
Hold on, caller, pull him down. Pull him down. Go ahead,
I'm
Robbie.
reporting what the U.S. Mint has on its very own website, that it's suspending the sale of Silver Eagles.
Well, then I guess that you'll be calling me tomorrow for a pallet.
Well,
if you can mule it across the border, that'd be great.
I buy them in the United States.
Uh-huh.
We have offices in both countries. Myth number 3.
How much do you sell them for?
Well, that's something we would talk about off air.
Yeah, well, no.
No, retail. Just to Joe Blow public.
Retail, I sell them for $2.25 over spot. Silver Eagles, right now, by the box. That's what we sell them for. Okay, myth number 3. This silly story going around about the gold in Canada going out in liquid form. Liquid form would be in the form of aqua regia. Aqua regia is a combination of nitric acid and hydrochloric acid. I know this because I used to be a metallurgist, and I used to do this every day for a living. In order for them to smuggle out 17,000 ounces of gold, they would have to have smuggled out 10,000 liters of aqua regia. Impossible. It never happened. The security there is way too tight.
Once again, I'm reporting what the Ottawa paper says.
Right.
That's their latest theory of how they got the...
When I talk to young people, because I try to talk to university students whenever I can, I've come up with a new saying that helps make them think. If you hear it on CNN or locally hear it on CTV or read it in a university library, it must be true. But if you hear it from somebody like me or Bob Chapman, it's got to be a conspiracy, right? So just because you read something in a newspaper doesn't mean it's true. In fact, we all know that most of the stuff you read in any newspaper is false. So Any questions on any of the things I just said?
Yes. There's a question. Actually, it's not a question. It's an accolade. I am glad that you're speaking to young people and informing them of precious metals and other things within our society, and you should be complimented for that, because most people don't take the time to do such things.
Well, here's one of the things I tell people. It doesn't matter whether people think that me or yourselves are crazy, because I'm basically speaking for you, because I basically listen to your program, read your newsletter, and then I speak through you, through me. And I say to them, it doesn't really matter. If 1 in 100 people believes me and then goes to do the research themselves, and I always direct them to Bob's website, great. But the other 99 people that say you're nuts, it doesn't matter, because that information is going to sit in the back of their mind. And when the poop really starts to hit the fan, they're going to remember that crazy guy that talked about that other crazy guy that writes the newsletter, and they're going to say, hey, they weren't crazy. And then hopefully everybody will stand up all the same time when some draconian measure is brought in, and everyone will say no all the same time. And that's what my hope is.
And they'll direct everybody to my website.
Exactly.
Right.
Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Richard,
so.
What gold house, silver house do you buy your rounds from here in the country?
Well, I buy them from a mint wholesaler, so I'm not going to give out that information.
Okay. All right.
But I buy from a wholesaler. I mean, here's a piece of information I will give out. A lot of people don't understand that you can't buy from the U.S. Mint. You cannot. There is a handful of wholesalers that do. They have to put up a very large bond, and they are the preferred wholesalers that sell to all the dealers in the world. And I buy from one of those wholesalers in bulk.
And what province are you in?
British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sending.
And you have a retail operation there?
Yes, here and in Washington State.
Okay, it's your company?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, I'm sending a rider truck up your way.
Now, Robbie, do you do business in Canada at all, Robbie?
No.
What is the gentleman's name? Is it John?
Richard.
Richard,
I'm the gentleman, or Bob, I'm the gentleman that owns the large position in Helix.
Oh. Well, what you should do is send me information on your retail operation in British Columbia, because I sometimes have people come to me and say, I live in Canada and I like to get some coins or bullion or whatever. And you should email that to me, and I'll start giving your name out for those who request that sort of thing.
I'll do that. I appreciate that. And I'll say one more thing for all your Canadian listeners. One of the reasons that, and Robbie's mentioned it, the reason that people don't like to buy from the United States, even though there can be good bargains there, is because our government, and this is our government now talking about some of the bad things they do, they know that in the GST Act in Canada that gold and silver are regarded as financial instruments and therefore are not subject to tax. They absolutely will not adjust their system at the border in their customs system to reflect that, and they charge GST on it. And in essence, they steal from people. Can you fill out a form and get your money back in 6 months? Absolutely. But people are uninformed and don't know they can even do that. And it's a real tragedy because
what are they
the government is basically stealing from people.
What are they doing? Are they just confiscating it? You got to fill out a form to get it back?
No. What they're doing is they're charging GST.
Okay.
But they're not supposed to. So in other words, I've talked with the customs people about this. I go through customs every day. Every couple of days, I make a trip into Washington to pick up product from the States. And the customs people, they know me now because I'm there twice a week. I know them all on a first-name basis. They absolutely know that the system is incorrect. And the one gentleman I talked to, the one officer I talked to, a senior officer, he has, on my behalf and on all Canadians' behalf, made the request to have it changed, and they will not do it. So they are, in essence, stealing from Canadians.
Well,
So this is for all the Canadian customers and Canadians listening.
Well, Richard, we're going to have to do a rendezvous here. I'm going to bring my Ryder truck, and I'm going to load up a few pallets there of silver.
Okay, we sell
right.
rounds and everything else too.
And Richard,
And bring your assault weapon.
yeah, there you go. And do me a favor, Richard, email Bob Chapman, and we'll go from there.
I will. Thanks for your time, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
That was a terrific call.
I forgot to ask him what positives there were. He gave me 3 negatives.
Oh, well, maybe he'll come back on the show again and give us some positive.
All righty.
And just so you know, the reason why we don't ship to Canada is because everything that we ship is registered, insured, first-class U.S. mail. So if someone buys something for $4,000, say, that package is automatically insured for $5,000. In other words, all gold and silver that is shipped is always overvalued.